Hello, everybody. Welcome back to my mental health live stream. My name is Dr. Stephen Walker. I'm a licensed psychologist, and I'm doing these live streams twice, two to three times a week, depending on my schedule. But I'm here to try to help people talk about their mental illness, talk about whatever's troubling them, whatever's on their mind. Tonight, we're going to talk about, how to handle being triggered. But before I do that, I want to get to a question that somebody asked, actually a comment that a gentleman made on the previous live stream was on sexual abuse. And this gentleman had a very poignant comment, so I wanted to address it because that's why I'm here. Hey, Angie, how are you? Glad you're back. So again, like I said, tonight we're going to talk about how to manage being triggered, because we tend to live in, I don't know, we're seemingly moving towards living in a society where people enjoy triggering each other. Like they'll punch people in the face with their words or whatever, and then they'll look at them like, what's the matter with you? Why does that bother you? But before we get to that, I want to read this gentleman's post. He said, "Why are men so afraid to state what happens to them when they are groomed and molested by women? I don't see a single comment from a man who was molested by a woman on here. To be short, it happened to me, and I spent 20 years attempting to drink and drug myself to death, only to have a child who is disabled to push me to sobriety and change my life. The damage is still done, and the fact of what she did will never allow me to be able to have a healthy relationship with a woman in my life ever again. Women are the victims of sexual assault, and and so are men. I'm sorry, women are the victims of sexual assault, abuse most of the time. And even though this is a fact, all too often men like myself are treated like being molested by an older woman is a rite of passage." Very good point, or something to be proud of. "My stepmother's action cost me my father, family, and my ability to self-love, as I even believed her for a time when she was claimed when I was 14 years old, who had just started puberty, that it was my fault because I seduced her. I've lost my sister as well because she believes my mother. The only reason I'm even alive is to protect my disabled son from predators, or I wouldn't bother to take another breath. I hope everyone who has been harmed by the actions of others find a way to heal, move on to a better day and a better life." And then he and I exchanged a few messages, and he said that he wants to make it perfectly clear and alert people about how predators, men and women, can groom individuals. So this is a very good point. So what I would offer to, I'll just use his initials, JD, is JD, I don't know how much work you've done on this, man, but you're making assumptions about you're never going to be able to trust a woman again. That's coming out of the trauma, my brother, because what's happening is a lot of those emotional wounds that you have not been dealt with, have not been worked on. So when we have a traumatic event like you've had, it sits in our mind and begins pumping out infection into our stream of consciousness, just like a physical wound will pump out infection into our bloodstream. What I would recommend is you've got to try to work through some of that trauma and find some healing. Otherwise, you probably won't ever find a relationship or a woman you can trust, because the trauma is telling you that. So I feel you, man. I've worked with female sex offenders. I've worked with male sex offenders. I've worked with victims. I've worked with, various stages of rehabilitation for the predator. What I can tell you is what you went through is a very real wound to you. And I hear you when you say that the only reason you're alive is because of your disabled son. And that's a beautiful thing, that you're willing to endure the pain to make sure he's not preyed upon. But JD, you can get some work on this. You can work on the emotional wounds that are affecting you, because they are still affecting you. And yes, men in general are not allowed to be in pain. We don't allow ourselves to be in pain. We're taught as kids, man up, pull up your panties, all these sexist things that fathers and older boys are telling younger kids, or even kids their own age, that we're not allowed to be injured. JD, you still have these wounds. You have these very real wounds, and I don't know how much you've talked them out, But that's the first step in healing, my brother. You've got to get yourself into a place where you can talk about the molestation, the effect it's had on you, the trauma you've been through with losing your family, your sister, people in your life that you thought would always be there for you. You've got to get into a situation where you can talk things out. The only way trauma is going to heal people, you tried the drinking, the drugging, obviously that doesn't work. Sure, pharmaceuticals, whatever, legal drugs we do, they will treat symptoms. They will, alleviate some of what you're feeling. But again, it's like taking a cold medication. The cold medication treats the symptoms, but it doesn't cure the cold. So JD, I feel you, brother. I can feel your pain. Thank you for posting. Hopefully somebody will see that and inspire somebody else to post on it. But you've got to work on that trauma. There is healing. These emotional wounds that we all have can heal people. I've been in this field. I'm a licensed psychologist. I've been doing this work for over 20 years now. People have this belief that they have to suffer in silence, that these things cannot get better. And that keeps them stuck in the pain. So what I would recommend to you, JD, is you've got to say to yourself, it's okay that this is still affecting me. I don't know how old you are. I'm sensing 40s or 50s, but you've got to make it okay that JD is still being affected by this. But you can't keep telling yourself stuff like, I'm never going to find a woman. I'm never going to be able to trust a woman. Because again, remember, if you had a friend of yours who this went through and you were consistently telling him, dude, you're never going to find a woman you can trust. You're never going to find a woman you can trust. That wouldn't be very helpful to their healing. Okay. So thank you for your post. Again, I try to respond to everybody that posts in one way or another, because again, what I'm doing is about normalizing conversations about mental illness, normalizing things in our mind that we never talk about, and there's fester and fester and fester. Okay. So again, guys, if you're catching this live, if you're on one of the 3 platforms, Twitter, YouTube, or Facebook, please ask a question or make a comment. If you're struggling with something with the holidays and you want to vent a little bit and you want me to help you process a little bit while I'm on, feel free to take me in whatever direction you want. Okay. So again, JD, thank you for your comment. I hope that helps in some way. But the takeaway for you, brother, is you've got to start working on JD. You got to start working on your relationship with JD, because otherwise you're going to keep just piling on more and more negative emotions and thoughts upon already a negative experience, which is the trauma of being sexually abused. So, hey, Candace, how are you? Candace is saying, is it possible? It is possible. Everything is possible if you get the guidance to help heal. Yes, thank you. And as many of you know, Candace was on a couple times talking about her own sexual abuse, her own road to healing. So yes, absolutely. I know we live in this culture where we think, it's all a pill, or it's in a big building called a hospital or whatever. The healing is within you, okay? But you need help talking it out, working it through. Otherwise, it doesn't manifest itself, okay? So let's talk a little bit about our topic tonight, which is being triggered. And actually, Candace inspired this because she was concerned after our last broadcast that she potentially may have triggered some people with her story. So that's where I got to start thinking, we need to talk about how to manage being triggered. So specific to what happens when a human being gets triggered. And by the way, everybody gets triggered, okay? I know people on the right like to point the finger at the left, and the left likes to point the finger at the right about your trigger. Everyone's triggered, okay? The key thing that makes somebody get triggered is there's something within them that they haven't worked through. So take Candace's concern that her story was triggering some people. Whoever is being triggered by her story has issues within them that need to be worked on. So what I encourage my clients and my patients to look at is the person, and I can't take ownership for this. This is actually the Dalai Lama's quote, but the person, hey Melissa, how are you? The person who is triggering you, and again, this is the Dalai Lama's quote, is your best teacher. Okay. So what does that mean? Somebody who is stirring something up within you is teaching you that there's a wound in there that needs to be healed. So when I get, again, taking, examples from my own past, things that used to trigger me, I talked about this in a couple previous shows. My mixed ethnicity. For many years, it was denied by people in my family. It was denied by me. So when somebody would ask me, dude, you got black in you, Spanish, whatever, what, I would immediately like, what are you talking about? I would get triggered by that because that was stuff within me that I hadn't worked on. Now that I've worked on it and yes, talked it out with somebody, worked through it, I'm at peace with the fact that I'm a multi-ethnic individual who has genetic influences from all over the world, and I'm quite proud of that. But why am I not triggered by it anymore? Because I worked it through. So, number one way to manage being triggered is to accept that the person triggering you is stirring up something in you that needs to be worked. So how do we deal with that? We accept it. Okay, I'm going to get into how to manage the emotions in a minute, but the first key is to identify, why am I being triggered here? What's going on? If somebody was triggered by Candace's talking about her sexual trauma and the way she's healed from that, from our last broadcast, that's an indication to you that you need to work on those wounds. Hey, Jennifer, how are you? Good to have you back. So the number one way that I encourage people to work on being triggered is to say to yourself, it's okay that I've been triggered. It's okay. In fact, the fact that you're triggered, and I know this is going to go contrary to social media mental health. And by the way, I make a distinction between social media mental health and real mental health. So social media mental health will tell you, don't let it bother you. Don't give someone power over you. You're giving them the ability to affect you. True to a degree, but the key is you got to say to yourself, it's okay that I've been triggered. It's okay. Now, what is this triggering trying to tell me? So Melissa is saying, thanks so much for coming on last week. To Candace, I wasn't so much triggered by you as I was a flashback and got stuck in the past. Great, Melissa. And that's okay. My point is it's okay, because whatever place in the past you got stuck, as we helped work you through that panic, was an indication that that's where the work needs to be done. So let's go back. Let's recap again real quick. Someone triggers you. How do you manage it? You identify it. You try to be self-aware a little bit in the moment and ask yourself, what is this person trying to teach me? What is this emotional state within me trying to help me heal? How is my being triggered an indication that I need to get some work done? Step number 2, how do you manage the emotional reaction? Well, this is where doing some of this work will give you tools to manage it. So Ronald from YouTube is saying, shame oftentimes keeps us from acknowledging triggers. Thank you always. Thank you, brother. Absolutely. Shame is exactly what I was talking about in the first comment, Ronald, because the shame, like take the comment I read before I started talking about this. I'm guessing, and I haven't talked to JD about what he's going through, but I'm guessing he's ashamed. He's ashamed of the fact that this happened to him at 14, that this predator convinced him that he seduced her. So absolutely, shame will affect how the trigger affects you. But Ronald, like I was talking about before, shame is just unworked on crap within us that we haven't dealt with. Like, again, talking about my own mixed ethnicity when I was in high school and early part of when I was in college, I was ashamed of that. Why? Because race was this, I don't know, man, this weird topic in my family where it was just not talked about, not dealt with. So I grew to be ashamed of the fact that I had a mixed ethnicity. Completely wrong, of course, but that's why I reacted to it. So absolutely, Ronald, shame had kept me locked in that cycle of self-hate, which it didn't need to be because I friggin' worked on it. And this is what I encourage everyone who logs on live or catches it when we post this. Work on your issues, people. It's not as difficult as you think. It's difficult in the beginning because you're dealing with crap that you haven't dealt with, but it gets easier and easier depending on severity of your trauma. Somebody like Candace, had a pretty significant level of trauma, so it took a concerted amount of time to work through it to the point where she is finding more and more of that peaceful feeling, not I'm zen-like, but not as acute. Okay, so let me read Angie's comment here. When I had shut down the stream off and walked away the other day, I go, oh, that's right, Angie, you had talked about it. Great. I could hear your voice saying it was okay, but every last bit of me was screaming that it was not okay, that it will never be okay, that there is no hope or way through this, and the overwhelming pain. I had to, lost it here. I had to go out of work because I was crying and rocking and shaking. It was snowing and very cold. So after 10 minutes or so, I was able to start feeling the cold, feeling the snow, breathing the cold air in and doing 4 square breathing. Beautiful. My go-to is cutting, but I'd left the building in a hurry and I hadn't taken my bag, so I couldn't. I was still exhausted from it later, but I didn't cut my skin. Beautiful. But just chopped off my hair. Somehow that helped a bit. I also slept a lot. And when I went back and listened to the whole broadcast again, I wrote down the things that I identified with. Beautiful, beautiful. Angie and I have spoken a little bit and we're working on some things, but obviously, Angie, when you cut yourself or your hair, you're inflicting pain on yourself for multiple reasons. There are multiple reasons why people cut. Some people cut to feel alive, to remind them that they're alive. Some people cut as a way of getting out of their head and into the pain that they're feeling. Some people enjoy the pain. What I'm thinking is, in Angie's case, it seems like it's a form of abuse, like you're abusing yourself when you feel pain. You're saying things like, you screaming back that it's not okay. Now, Angie, the fact that you were abused, the fact that Candace was abused, we're not saying that's okay. What is okay is the fact that it's still affecting you. What's okay is that you were triggered by it, because that's your body, your mind, your whatever that healing force within us is saying we need to heal this. This is not, I can't deal with this. So in Angie's case, whatever Angie did in the moment to bring herself down is part of the coping mechanism. Now, I don't obviously recommend cutting or even cutting your hair, because Angie, what I would offer you, and maybe we can talk about this the next time we chat, is what relief do you get out of cutting? Like, what does cutting do for you? Okay, so you've got to identify what the cutting is. And again, if anyone's logging on who's never been here before, my name's Dr. Stephen Walker. We're talking about mental illness. We're talking about how to be more mentally healthy in an open, honest format. I'm taking live comments as I'm doing this. So if you're catching this after the fact and you want to critique it, you try to do it live and you'll see how difficult it is. So this is not edited. This is not polished at the end. This is raw and live in the moment. Fielding questions about people who are okay with working on their mental illness and mental health. And I'm going to do a show on Friday about, when I say mental illness, like when I say everyone has a degree of mental illness, I'm going to kind of expand that a little bit. So what I would go, getting back to Angie, I would say to Angie, when you get triggered like that, Angie, that's a golden opportunity for you to soothe Angie. That's a golden opportunity for you to treat Angie the way she should have been treated as a kid. You're treating yourself the way you were treated as a kid. That's what happens when we're abused. We internalize that relationship, and that relationship becomes our relationship with ourselves. So when Angie's in pain, what's the first thing she's going to default to? Ways to make that pain worse, whether that's self-talk. I'm never going to get out of this. What did you say here before? Let me see here. That it will never be okay. There's no hope or any way through this. Now, Angie, imagine you have a coworker or somebody you really care about, and you see that they're going through a lot of pain in the moment, and you say that to them. Say that to them. the minute they're going through some pain. Oh, the fact that you're freaking out or having a triggered reaction to this is not okay. That's pathetic. You're never going to be okay. There's no hope. There's no way through this. Imagine saying that to somebody who's in pain. And Angie, of course you can't imagine it, or of course you wouldn't do it, because it's abuse. It's abuse. But people self-abuse themselves all the time and don't even think twice about it. Like, no big deal. It's just the way I talk to myself. But they don't realize that that is the worst thing you can do, is to self-abuse the victim. Angie, you are the victim of abuse. And those moments when you get triggered is a way for you to soothe yourself. So Angie's saying cutting is punishing me for whatever's wrong with me that causes me to react like that. Exactly. Sometimes it's a dark place and I don't even realize what I'm doing, and I've cut pretty bad during those episodes. Thank you for sharing all this. The physical pain somehow lets the emotional pain out. Exactly. But Angie, as you know, that's just one way of letting the emotional pain out. We've got to get you into a place where you can talk, and I don't mean committed, but we've got to get you into a place within yourself where you can talk more of this stuff out, where you can rebuild that relationship with yourself. Okay. So Samantha's saying, hey, Samantha, I used to cut my hair short, super short, some of the cut to feel the pain so they know that they're alive. Exactly. So we're just getting back to the main topic again of how we manage being triggered. Angie is giving us an example of how she manages being triggered. One of the ways I work with people on managing being triggered is exactly what I just said to Angie. Working on their relationship with themselves, working on what they're telling themselves about being triggered. Most of the time when people get triggered, I can't believe I'm like this. I hate that I'm like this. Why did I give that mother blanker so much control over me? I'm so pathetic. That is the last thing. You're just triggering yourself more and more. Okay. And I'm going to talk about the triggerers, the people who seemingly enjoy triggering people. And, I don't have time for your feelings, and F your feelings. And I don't give an F about things. And I don't have two Fs to give, and all this incredibly unhealthy stuff. I'm going to get to that towards the end. But the main two, so the first way is, remember, it's okay that I'm triggered. It's okay that this is triggering me. What is this teaching me? What is this trying to show in me? What is this trying to show within me that needs to be healed? That's step number one. You make it okay. Step number two is you begin managing how you are treating yourself when you're triggered. You're saying things to yourself. It's okay. It's okay that I've been triggered. Step number three, Angie talked about it. You focus on a physical part of your body. Breathing is a great way. We should do a live stream one night on meditation. I can walk people through the meditation I work with my clients on. It's a form of from India meditation called Vipassana meditation. But that's step number three, is you settle your breathing by talking yourself down. Okay. Remember, the fact that you are triggered, the fact that you feel emotions, whether they're positive or negative, the fact that you're feeling emotions is a sign that you're mentally healthy, emotionally healthy. Why do I say that? I know the social media mental healthers will tell you, no, you shouldn't feel the negative emotion. You should just let it go. Feel complete BS, okay? Remember, the people encouraging you to let go of your negative emotions are the ones who have not a clue how to deal with negative emotions, not only within them, but within somebody else. So what do? They take you away from the pain and tell you, no, just focus on the positive. Not the worst message in the world, but very destructive to the person who's feeling the emotion. So again, these are things you're saying to yourself in the moment. You're reminding yourself that and maybe somebody would say, well, what do you mean by that, Dr. Walker? Or how is feeling negative emotion means I'm healthy? Well, let's look at the opposite of that. Who would advocate not feeling as healthy? I mean, The people who are doing the carnage in our society are the ones who don't feel much anymore. They're the ones who can shoot people in the head with a AR-15 or whatever it may be, excuse me, and not care about it because they don't feel emotion. So yes, the fact that Angie, whoever else is feeling negative emotion, means that they're emotionally and mentally healthy because they can still feel. People who can't feel, you gotta watch out for, okay? And I've worked with people who have been so hurt, so beaten down. They've had violence put on them. They've acted out violently. It's cold. It's cold to look into someone's eyes and see that kind of dead inside feel within them. That's what's unhealthy, people. The feeling the emotion is not mean if you're depressed. Even if you're depressed, you're still feeling something. The fact that you can still feel something is an indicator that you're healthy. Okay. But remember, the main tool to use when you're triggered is to make being triggered okay, and then manage what the triggering is affecting in you. So let's take the political climate we have today, people insulting each other back and forth, liberals, libtards, maggots, whatever it is. What they're doing is they're basically just insulting people to get a reaction instead of actually having a constructive dialogue. The person who, and let's segue into that. So Ronald is saying, very good counsel. Thanks, Ronald. Because of my own rejection, I find myself hypersensitive to even borderline rejection. Well, there you go, brother. Thank you for sharing that. And the fact that Ronald shared that so openly is exactly why I'm doing these, okay? Because he's sharing that like I'm a physician and he's asking me, hey, what should I do about my acid reflux? No shame in acid reflux. What he just shared is exactly what we need to do as a society. We need to have a society where people are talking about their mental health, their mental illness. So Ronald, thank you. Very good counsel. Well, thank you. I don't mean to read that again, but because of my own rejection, I find myself hypersensitive to even borderline rejection. So what I would offer to Ronald is, Ronald, who rejected you, brother? I mean, what was this, a parent? Was this a love interest? Was this what happened? How is that rejection still pumping out trauma in you that is causing you to be hypersensitive to even borderline rejection? Because you got to deal with those issues, bro. You've got to deal with how you feel. Rhymes, I know, but you have to. Men are notoriously bad. We are more guilty than women about sticking our head in the sand and saying, no, I'm fine. I have no issues. I have no issues. Ronald, you got to, tonight, after we end, go into the mirror, look at Ronald a little bit and say, it's okay, dude. It's okay. I didn't ask to be rejected. I didn't ask to have these wounds, but I got to deal with them. That's where the active acceptance comes in. I actively accept that I'm feeling this, but I have to work on it. So Ronald, you got to work on whatever that rejection trauma in you that is still pumping out, because I'm guessing that if you're not in a relationship, this is probably one of the main reasons you're not in a relationship. Or if you're in a relationship and you sense any criticism or any if they're mad at you, they don't like what you did, then boom, you immediately get defensive, don't listen to what they're saying, and then it turns into an argument. So thank you, Ronald. You're spot on, brother. And this is why I'm doing this tonight, about how to manage being triggered. Because what I would offer to Ronald is that the next time, brother, that you even sense borderline rejection, make it okay. Say to yourself, it's okay that I'm feeling this. It's okay. What is going on in me? What is happening in me that is causing me to be afraid of rejection? I don't know if it was a parent, two parents. I don't know anything about you, Ronald. But, again, feel free to send me some messages online and we can, chat about it or whatever. But thank you for your comment. So Ivan is saying, human beings feel if negative emotions come means there is pain. Exactly. Pain needs to be understood and healed. Absolutely. Pain needs to be understood and healed. But what kind of culture do we live in, Ivan? Kill the pain. And I'm not talking about people with debilitating chronic pain. It's a small percentage of people. But exactly, pain needs to be understood and healed. But what are we constantly bombarded with? Eliminate the pain, kill the pain. Why do we have an opioid epidemic, people? Because people are conditioned to hate pain. People are conditioned, and granted, a lot of people in my field and physicians will tell people when they have pain surgery or oral pain or whatever, oh, no, 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 no. Don't wait to feel the pain. Start taking the medication immediately. The absolute worst message you can be telling people, okay? And if any physicians want to come on and debate this with me, feel free. But the fact that physicians are telling people don't feel the pain, they don't have a borderline. They have no, I'm sorry, not a borderline. They don't have a baseline to know how much pain can they manage. Can this pain be managed with some Tylenol? Can this pain be managed in other ways? So they get addicted. The next thing they know, they're gone. So otherwise it will keep coming. Exactly. The other option is numbing yourself, right? Which we know comes with the whole set of other issues. Exactly. Like addiction. See, I didn't even read the end of his quote, his comment. Exactly. We people, we live in a pain killing society. We are a very kill the enemy type of society. I know I'm not saying that's the who we are. I'm just saying that a lot of what we look at when it comes to pain is kill the pain. They're called painkillers. I mean, they're called painkillers. Pain needs to be dealt with. Exactly. Physical pain, emotional, psychological pain needs to be dealt with. And if someone is triggering you, something is triggering you, that is an indication that there's something within you that needs to be healed. So let me get to a couple of more comments, getting some great interaction tonight. Thank you, everybody. Yes, another question. Why? This is from Melissa. Why does society not allow men to have emotions? Oh, man, don't get me started on that. How do we start including their trauma into the conversation? Sister, that is like the geyser question. From my perspective, why doesn't society allow men to have emotions? Because men are raised by men. You know, men are raised by, with all due respect to men, a lot of Neanderthal men are raising kids into believing that you got to be tough. Don't show your emotions. Stand up. Don't cry. Don't show that. And then that's not only what's being drilled into them. What are they seeing at home? They're seeing an unemotional father. They're seeing parents fighting. They're not seeing any resolution to the arguing. So men are constantly conditioned to avoid how they're feeling. Men are conditioned to believe that there's something wrong with them for feeling, which is exactly why men outnumber women in prison, like 95% to 5%, if not more than that. And people say, well, it's testosterone, dude. Sure, it's testosterone, dude. But the fact of the matter is that testosterone is being exacerbated by pain within them. Okay. And that's why people in my field call pain a secondary emotion. The primary emotion is, I'm sorry, I think I got that wrong. Anger is a secondary emotion. The primary emotion is pain. Okay. Pain, undealt with pain. Men, we are responsible for most of the carnage on this planet. I'm not saying women don't have their issues. Trust me, everyone has issues, but men need to deal with this underlying pain. How do we start including their trauma into the conversation? That's up to the men. The gentleman, JD, whose comment I read at the beginning of this live stream, he's doing it. He's putting it out there. He's saying, I was sexually abused by a woman. Men need to own their trauma. Ivan's doing it a little bit tonight. He's realizing, where's Ivan's comment? He's realizing that his own rejection makes him hypersensitive to being rejected. And Ivan's saying, because James Bond didn't have any. Exactly. Let's look at that character, by the way. Look at the character of James Bond. Womanizing, violent. I mean, so yeah, men. And if you're a father out there and you have a 4-year-old son and we have, if he's 4 years old, dude, why are you talking to him? Why? Because he's 4 years old and he needs to start thinking about this. We talk about pain. We talk about what he's feeling. We talk about his anger. We talk about what he's going through. When he's mad, I encourage him to talk about how he's feeling, to talk about it, to deal with it. So yeah, we need to start teaching men how to talk about how they're feeling. So thank you, Melissa. How do we start including their trauma into the conversation? You don't start including it, Melissa. Men need to include it. And if you're a man watching this live or catching this after I post it, you need to work on the issues that are causing chaos in your relationships. If you've never told your son, daughter, you love them, if it's hard for you to show emotion around your wife, boyfriend, whoever it may be, you got to work on that, because that's not healthy. People think not feeling is healthy. Like, you see all this, I don't give an F. Like I said before, I don't have 2 Fs to give. Let me tell you something, people. People in the mental health field will tell you not feeling is part of many disordered mental illnesses, where the person doesn't feel or doesn't allow themselves to feel anything. That is not healthy. Okay. So thank you for that great question, comment. Samantha, thank you very much for coming on last week. You were fierce. Thanks, Samantha. Ronald, do they say why they are rejecting? Good question. Ronald, do you base your worth on others? Good. You guys are interacting with this conversation more. Let's see here. Fernando, what's up, Fernando? Various reasons. As an early childhood educator, I basically see parents and society assigning roles to certain behaviors. What do you mean by that? Fernando. Hey, Fernando, man, honestly, not honestly, but actually, if you ever want to come on, Fernando, and talk about some of what you see, because I want providers, I want educators, I want people who are in the field to talk about how they see how we help kids. So Fernando, if you want to come on and do a show on parenting and what you've seen, shoot me a message, man. But absolutely, we teach kids we assign roles early on. The little girl in preschool, and I was a preschool teacher, kindergarten for a while. Then I moved into 3rd and 4th grade, and then I went into counseling. But I would see it all the time. Some the little girls would fall on and the teachers would hug them, and it's okay, sweetie. The little boys fall. Nobody's running over there a lot of times, or they're telling them, come on, get up, brush it off, whatever. Absolutely. It's funny, that just reminded me of when I was teaching, I had a psychologist, I know, come to the school and observed me hugging the kids. And she found that was odd, that there was a male teacher who the kids would come up to and hug. And if anybody's worked around kids, they know that's what kids do. They come up and hug you. So she even made a comment to the principal that it was a little odd that, Mr. Steve was hugging the kids so much. So obviously I was triggered, because I know where I'm coming from. I know why I'm hugging a child, because I don't want to reject a child. So I called a meeting with her and the principal, and I asked her one question. I said, did you see any of the female teachers hugging kids? And she knew immediately where I was going. And she finally had to admit, yeah, I guess I have a double standard, that I didn't have any problem with the female teachers hugging the kids, but and subsequently, after she apologized, we had an in-depth talk about her own abuse. So anyway, Ronald is saying, I agree, doctor, our culture promotes numbing pain. Absolutely. So yeah, and Fernando, you're spot on, bro. You're spot on. We assign emotional and psychological roles to kids, and then they're stuck in them their whole lives. And you see these men who are just lost, who literally, they buy stuff. They get all their self-esteem from their physical appearance. They have these vacuous relationships with women who are just begging them to show emotion or talk about how they feel. I'm not saying all men. Certainly there are no absolutes when it comes to any of this, but I'm saying that many men need to own the fact that they were not raised too well. They were not raised well, and they were not put in a position where they haven't put themselves in a position where they can accept that they have issues. The last thing a man wants to show is what? The dreaded W word, weakness. Can't be weak. And, in respects to that, and since we're talking about that, women also don't want an overly weak man, an overly emotional man. So men do have trouble finding, what that balance is. But what I would offer to people, and I want to get to, it's getting a little late here, but let me talk real quick about the people who are triggering people. Okay, so before I do that, let me make sure I'm caught up on comments, because again, remember, this is not about me. Melissa's saying, my son is raised by me and I'm finding myself guilty of this bias, so I am hoping for tips to alter this while he is young. Well, Melissa, I don't know what the this is and what tips you're talking about, but just continue to ask him, how are you feeling? If he cries, tell him it's okay. Talk to him to a degree, the way you would talk to your daughter. Make him aware that how he feels is okay, whatever he's feeling. So if you want to give me a little bit more on what you're talking about specifically, I'll try to I'll try to get to that. Great, Melissa saying, please, Fernando, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Yes, Fernando, help us understand. Oh, of course, I'd love sometime parents not allowing kids to play with dolls or play dress up, for example, because they think it's a girl's game. Exactly. So, but yeah, so Melissa, what I would offer to you is this. Let's see, Melissa saying, I left my son wear dresses. This isn't an issue, but I feel I am stunting his emotional growth. I didn't do this to my daughter. I have unhealthy responses to males. Well, good, Melissa, you're identifying that it is a projection within you. Remember, I did a broadcast a little while ago called Spotting Your Projection. Go back and look at that. How we spot how we're projecting onto other people, how we feel within ourselves. So Ivan is saying, yes, validate his feelings, let him describe them, tell him it's okay. Ivan, did I get to somebody? Oh yeah. Okay, Ivan was talking about numbing pain and all that. Okay, great. I like to try to get to everyone who comments, because this is why I'm doing this. So real quick to close out here, to the people who are triggering other people and then pointing at them and saying, why are you triggered? What's the matter with you? Oh, you're triggered? Stop it. Okay, ask yourself why you enjoy hurting people, why you enjoy triggering people. What is inside of you that is being satisfied by seeing you hurt another human being? Have you ever asked yourself, what is going on within me that when I identify that I've hurt somebody, Melissa's saying my son is triggering me, then you guys need to talk about it, Melissa. Maybe you guys need to hire somebody in the mental health field and start talking some of this out. What is going on, not to you, Melissa, but what is going on within you, the person who is triggering another person? Where's your empathy? Do you really think not having empathy is a goal that we should be striving for as a society? The fact that you enjoy triggering people, the fact that you enjoy seeing someone get hurt and then you don't own it and then you don't apologize for it, that's who you want to be as a human being? That's your level of self-development? That you will actually literally, well, emotionally or psychologically punch someone in the face, and then when their eye swells up or they start bleeding, oh, you're bleeding. Oh, your eye is getting puffy. Well, why are you letting me get your eye puffy? You're allowing me to let your eye swell up, or you made me hit you. Telling you, people, those of you out there triggering people and enjoying it, you got some issues. It's not the person who you're triggering that has the issues. You've got the issues. You're the bully. You're the one enjoying getting people upset. You're the one promoting the culture, the world we don't want to live in. Okay? So to the triggerers out there, the people doing the triggering, what is up with you? Who bullied you as a kid? What unworked out trauma is going inside of you that you need to make someone feel bad about themselves? What is up with you? Why would you want to make someone else feel bad? That's the kind of human being you want. That's the kind of world you want to live in, where you trigger somebody and then you point the finger at them for being triggered. You're right, Melissa. Those people are broken, but the problem is they don't know it. They don't own it. They don't want to look at themselves. So step number 4 for the person being triggered, ask yourself in your mind when you're being triggered, what is up with this person? Well, why do they need me to be in pain in order to feel good about themselves? That's step number 4, people, is turn it back on them in your mind. Ask yourself, why do they need me to hurt? Why do they need me to be triggered to feel good about themselves? And you see it all over the media. You see people on these podcasts or talking about people who are in pain and looking down on them or whatever. Shame on you. I mean, what is up with you? Have you ever asked yourself why you like hurting people? I hear you, Melissa. I send them all my love as much as I can spare. I feel you. But when you've been in the field as long as I have, and you've seen people borderline want to kill themselves because of bullying, you see kids killing themselves because they're being cyber bullied, breaks my heart. And don't think after 20 years I have some cold, unfeeling heart. I feel their pain. I may not show it in session, but I feel their pain, and it bothers me that we are living, that people are following and wanting to emulate these people online who could give a crap about hurting other people's feelings, as though the people who they're hurting, there's something wrong with them. So step number 4 for managing your triggered is kind of what Melissa said. Have some pity for the person doing the triggering, because they got some serious issues. I will bet you the majority of bullies in the world were bullied at home, were bullied in school, were either something happened to them that they haven't dealt with. They're projecting their own insecurities or their own fear of feeling. Yes, fear of feeling onto other people. So those are the steps, people. But again, if you're a triggerer and you enjoy it, wow, what a life goal. What a level of development you've gotten to, man. You should be proud of yourself. You can trigger people. I don't know if you caught the little post I did a few days ago about brutal honesty. Brutal honesty is the laziest, easiest form of honesty. Okay, people? No offense if anyone on here believes in brutal honesty. I don't. Brutal honesty is what children do to each other. Okay? That is the easiest form of honesty. You know what kind of honesty I try to help people develop? Compassionate honesty. Be honest, but know that the person you're talking to has emotions, and you can hurt them. And like I talked in a live stream a few months ago, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Bull crap. Bull. Words hurt a lot of times more than sticks and stones. And telling kids that, good, Angie, remember that. Hurting people hurt people. Exactly. Hurt people hurt people. Exactly. So if you're a triggerer, come on this show and defend that. You found this online and you like triggering people, come on this show. Send me a message. Tell me you like bullying, hurting people. Come on this show. Come on. I want to hear why you enjoy it. I want to attack you, but I want to know why you would enjoy triggering people. So step number 4 is one of the keys, okay? And I don't know if it's step number 3 or 4. I lost my train of thought, but the step of questioning, wow, I'm this person who has these issues, I'm going to let them make me feel bad about myself because I am hurt, and I'm celebrating the fact that I have feelings to be hurt. Yeah. Come on this show, triggerers. I dare you. Anyway, Ronald is saying, unfortunately, these bullies find themselves in a position of power and authority and power. Absolutely. Absolutely, they do. I've been saying sensitivity is what we need, clarity of perception and accuracy of response. Dude, amen. Amen. I like that, accuracy of response. But the problem is, as you know, Ivan, our responses a lot of times are being impeded by our unhealed emotional wounds. Like Ronald talked about rejection. So once Ronald starts saying to himself, it's okay that I have a fear of rejection, but I got to work on it, he's going to start tapping into why he's so affected by rejection. Because I'm guessing, Ronald, you reject yourself when you feel there's something wrong with you or when you're feeling something. So Melissa's saying, yes, I'm also afraid I'm already teaching him it isn't okay for him to express himself. Thank you for your support. I'm hoping my awareness of the problem. Oh, you're responding to Fernando. Yes, good. My awareness of the problem will prevent the same behavior. I want my son to be free himself, freely himself. I don't want to hurt him. Say that to him, sister. Say exactly what you just said to Fernando in words he can understand. Start opening his mind. Start opening his consciousness. Okay. Exactly, because I haven't worked through my own pain. Exactly, Melissa. And you have to make that okay that you haven't worked through your own pain. You make it okay, but you start working on it. You got a lot of intelligence and awareness and empathy in you, Melissa. You got to start directing that to you. Okay? You didn't ask to be abused. You didn't ask for all that pain you went through. You didn't ask for any of that. You're the victim. Nothing wrong with the word victim. Staying a victim, I'm not saying you're staying a victim, but staying a victim is different. You were victimized. You have to accept that. Okay? So, again, how to manage being triggered. Step number 1, make it okay. Okay? Step number 2, frame it as an opportunity to work on yourself. Step number 3, talk to yourself in a way that calms you down, reminds you that you have control over this. Work on your breathing. Step number 4, see, I remembered, is question the triggerer. Question, what is up with this dude? Man, I wish I had done some of that when I was a kid. Mercilessly teased when I was in high school. Called all kinds of names. Hated myself. Would look in the mirror. I hate you. Had to work through all of that, people. Wasn't easy, but I'm glad I did. So thank you again, everybody, for logging on. Please share this. Please tell people about it. If you know somebody that's hurting, Candace is saying you have to take care of yourself first. Oxygen masks in the plane. Exactly. Great metaphor. Ronald is saying, yes, self-rejection, putting in some work, doctor. I was victimized by the legal system. Great. Well, not great that you were victimized by the legal system, but you know what I mean? Great in the sense that you're identifying where that came from. But Ronald, if you're victimizing yourself, brother, you got to work through that. Okay? If you're bullying yourself, if you're rejecting you, you got to look at Ronald in the mirror tonight and say, it's okay, brother. It's okay. It's okay that I've got these issues, but I got to work on them. Okay. And again, Fernando, I'm serious about that, man. If you want to, we could shoot some messages about putting together a live stream about teaching and kids and parenting and all that. I don't put myself up as, I'm Mr. Know-it-all, but 20 years in the mental health field will teach us some valuable lessons. So, all right, people. Well, good to see you on again. I will be on again Friday night, probably be on Monday and Wednesday, and then not on, Christmas Day. But again, I'm always, you can always catch me through my website. This is my website. If you want to send me a private message, you can text me on this number here if you'd like to be a guest or you'd like to be interviewed or you'd like to do some of this live. I don't know if you saw some of the other broadcasts. We can open up windows. I can have up to 5 people on. But the main thing at this point, people, is, and Melissa's saying yes, exclamation point. Well, Melissa, you got to say yes to you, sister. You got to say yes. It's time to work on this pain. I do. I have to. I'm given an opportunity now to, if you think it's negatively affecting your kid, you got to work on that. Okay. So I'll see everybody Friday night. Remember to please, if you are catching this on Facebook or YouTube after I upload it, all these social media platforms, they suppress the videos with less likes, and they let the videos with more subscribers. And now please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please subscribe. I pay a lot of money to advertise on YouTube to try to get people aware of the channel, aware of the broadcast. So please work on your issues, people. I can't impress this upon you enough. Don't buy into this idea that people can't change. Don't buy into this idea that you can't heal. That is your your wounds talking. Those are the issues talking. You got to talk things out. You got to get yourself into a place where you can talk these things out. Okay, I'll see you Friday night, and we will continue the conversation about whatever's on your mind, or I'll come in with a topic and we'll go from there. So again, thank you for logging on. Dr. Stephen Walker, please work, if you're being triggered, work on it with some of the tools we talked about tonight. And if you're a triggerer, come on this show and defend why you enjoy triggering people. Come on this show and defend why you enjoy seeing people hurt. Come on, ask yourself what kind of human being you are if you actually don't care about how you affect other people. Like, that's something to strive for. So anyway, people, have a great night. I'll see you Friday night. Please share this, and we'll talk some more then. All right? Talk to you then. Take care. Thanks for logging on. Thanks for all the comments.